POV, you built your website probably a while ago, and now you've changed, the way you work has changed, and the things you're wanting to offer have also probably changed along with that as well. And so you've got this website and it just doesn't feel like who you are anymore. What do you do? I'm Leonie, I'm a spiritual business midwife, and that means I help guide people through the next steps of what they're wanting to offer or what they're wanting to change within their spiritual business. So if you have come to me with a situation like this and you need help, this is exactly what I would do with you in a Spark session. In this situation, it is very likely that you maybe built your website some time ago, or maybe you didn't even build it yourself. Maybe someone else built it for you. So this is so common with spiritual businesses, whether you are a tarot reader, whether you're a Reiki healer, whether you hold spiritual development circles, you're a witch, you're a yoga teacher, whatever spiritual business category you fall into. This happens so often, so often. And I suspect when your website was built, however long ago, maybe a few years ago, maybe a long time ago, right? I suspect when it was built, it absolutely felt like you, it matched who you are and where you were in your journey. But now, where your work has changed, where you have grown, where maybe you've learned new healing modalities and you want to include those. Maybe your branding now feels off and the colours just don't sit in the same way that they used to with you. Maybe you want to completely reinvent yourself. Whatever the case is, something about how your website is now feels completely off from where you'd like it to be and where you feel that your work actually sits. So in situations like this, what ends up happening, so although we're talking about a website here in this particular instance, what's actually happening underneath is that there's now a mismatch in the energy, right? So your energy is no longer in alignment with what it is that your shopfront, your website is displaying. And that will cause it to feel off, even if you can't exactly articulate why. And someone came to me quite recently with a situation like this, where they had a website, they'd outgrown it, it was built by somebody else, and it just no longer fitted who they were. They wanted to make changes, but they weren't sure exactly which direction to go in. So although in this instance we were focused on web design and, you know, kind of their like branding and their colours and their words, their language that they wanted to use on their website, that's just one example of how your energy can be out of alignment with your storefront. Okay, so that is something that we will look at in this particular video. So although I've just been talking about how with this particular client we were looking at her web design, her colours that she was using for her branding, we were looking at the language she was using and all of that, this isn't actually a design issue, it's a structure issue. And so where someone's identity changes, the container just needs to catch up as well, just so that everything's brought back into alignment. And this is exactly what I help with. So when your container hasn't caught up to where you are now, so whether it's a website, whether it's any number of ways that you kind of structure your offerings, and we will talk about those in other videos, where your container hasn't caught up to where you are now, that leaves an absolute misalignment of energy, because your website in this instance will still be translating the old energy. And when you're translating old energy, you still have emotional attachment, and this might cloud the message that you're actually trying to get out now. So maybe your social media is on point and you're saying exactly all the things that you want to be saying. Your messaging is, you know, very well kind of constructed and very clear and very certain. You're very confident with that. Then people are going on your website, they're having a look, and there's a mismatch and they can feel it. And maybe you've noticed this with reduced sales or offers just not kind of converting to bookings, right? It shows up in so many different ways. And the main thing here is that the energy is out of alignment. So that is what our focus would be, to bring back into alignment. So it's back into everything saying the same thing. Your social media is saying the same message that you now want to put out. It feels like you. That's the most important thing, is that you think that it feels like you. Okay. You don't want to be pretending to be someone else, either on your social media or on your website. Anywhere that you show up in your business, it needs to feel like you, so that you feel confident and that you feel that you're able to explain what you do very clearly to people. Customers can then know, clients can then know that yes, this is for me, or no, this isn't for me. You want each part of your business to feel like it's actually you. When you have emotional attachment to old structures that don't really fit who you are anymore, this absolutely clouds your clarity. So this can be really confusing for customers. It can be confusing for clients. It's confusing for you, because then maybe you're having to explain, oh yeah, that was how I used to view things, or oh, don't pay attention to this page, or you know, it just leads to a load of confusion, and we don't want that. We want clarity, we want structure, we want a very clear path from start to finish, okay, that clearly explains who you are, what you do, so the right people can find you. When you are super clear, when the container reflects exactly what it is that you're offering, and you can, the main thing being that you can explain it clearly, that absolutely cuts confusion, because confused people don't buy. Okay, that is the bottom line. If you think about your own journey, your own self, as when you are a client or a consumer, if you're confused, you just won't buy. You'll just put it off till later. Exactly the same for your clients, right? If you're confused, if your energy, if there's a mismatch, even if people aren't picking up, even if people are not picking up on it enough to articulate it, they will definitely feel it. So we just want this congruence all the way through. That's what we're aiming for. So we've set the scene, and if you came to me in a Spark session with that exact problem or something around that, here is exactly what I would do with you. So the first step that I would do with you would be to make sure that we can clarify one offer. Really, really straightforward, really clear. And that means you being able to talk about it clearly, you knowing the start, the middle and the end of it, you being able to articulate what transformation that gives for your client, and you feeling that you can just confidently talk about it. It's your work and you want to be proud of it, you want to be excited about it. And if that work reflects who you are now and what you're offering now, that's exactly what we want. We also would then need to figure out what fits from now, what doesn't fit. So a lot of the work that we do in a Spark session is actually paring down. So we're not necessarily creating something new every time. That does happen sometimes, but not every time. Sometimes what we actually need to do is start paring away. So in our scenario with the old website, for example, there will probably be tons of stuff that just isn't right, just isn't you. You're a bit embarrassed about it actually, and I know you know exactly what I'm talking about. I've had this exact thing in my businesses so many times, and I have to like delete pages or decide what I'm keeping and what I'm not. And that can be really scary, especially if, as I said, especially if you have like an emotional attachment to it, right? So sometimes having somebody there with you that has done this before, knows what they're doing, it can just make the whole process a lot less scary. So in this way, where we sort of pare down, where we, you know, cut away what we don't need anymore, not only are you clarifying your website, you're making everything super clear, super straightforward, you're also releasing energy, because we know we're spiritual business owners. We know it's not just straight business, right? It's energy as well. So when we are cutting away what we don't need anymore, we're actually freeing up space, freeing up energy. And that clear, straightforward, beautiful, shining energy, that is what is going to magnetize your clients to you. But if you're really unclear about it, or you're holding on to old stuff, it's just going to muddy the waters, and hence confusion, hence nobody's buying. We also want to help remove emotional residue from structural decisions. And it's really difficult when you and your business are absolutely intertwined. I think it's really easy if you're just selling like a physical product or a non-emotional service, but in spiritual business, we really care. That is why we're doing these businesses. That is why we are offering these services. That is why we are putting our spiritual gifts out into the world, right? It's because we super, super care. And that, unfortunately, sometimes can cloudy the waters when we are trying to make structural decisions. So where possible, as much as possible, I help you in a spark session to just kind of strip back some of the emotion and to just look at things logically and to look at things from a structural perspective without the emotion. We already know that you care. I care. That's why I'm doing this business, right? We already know that you care. And so stripping some of that emotion back can actually help you to make structured and sensible decisions, so you can be really clear on what's needed, why it's needed, and what's not needed, what's just kind of old, stagnant, it's just kind of legacy stuff that doesn't actually serve a purpose. So we can help you, we just help you get rid of that. And then the final thing that we do in a spark session is basically to identify your next step, your next immediate step. And this is what gets mapped out. So everything that we speak about in a spark session, I'm like furiously taking notes the whole time. So you'll often see me kind of looking down, making notes. What I'm doing is I'm getting all the pieces in place for your map so that you are super, super clear on what is your very next step. What are the next actions that you need to do to get yourself back on the correct course, the correct path, right? So all of these things together, step by step by step, it's a set process that we cover in a spark session. All of that is to help you know exactly where you're going, what you're offering, what you're no longer offering, and help you with the next steps of what you then need to do to make that happen. This all really matters, especially in spiritual business, because when you're really clear on what you're offering, that changes exactly how you are able to show up. You are so much more confident in talking about what it is that you're offering. You're confident in your why. You're really clear with how you're articulating it. You're clear in your processes. You're clear in what transformation you're offering to clients. And that confidence transfers to clients feeling confident in you because you have confidence in yourself. It's not about a lack of experience or a lack of kind of expertise. You totally already have that. This is about you being super clear in the way that you show up and in the way that you are talking about your offers, the way that you're presenting your offers. Your website is just one part of that, but it's something that so many times, I've had this so many times with people. I speak to fantastic spiritual practitioners, all sorts, healers, witches, whatever. And that you'll say to them, oh, have you got a business card, or what's your website, or what's your Instagram? And they will say, oh, I don't have a website, or my website's really old, or they're really embarrassed about their website. And I really, really don't want that for you, right? I want you to be confident about how you're presenting your business. I want you to be really confident about talking about your offerings and know the structure inside out. So you know your start, your middle, your end, you know the exact transformation that you're offering to clients. That is exactly what you deserve in your business. And the final thing is that when you're really clear, it reduces procrastination. So if you are someone who has a massive to-do list and you're like, I will get to that, I will get to that, and then you never seem to get to it, it's probably because you aren't sure where to start, or you don't know what it is that you need to tackle next. Or if you do know what it is you need to tackle next, you're unclear on exactly how to begin doing that. So having that map, having that kind of tangible step-by-step process is so helpful, so helpful. So a spark session is about defining what is the next step that you need to take, so that you feel clear and you feel confident and you feel that you know exactly what you're doing next. So thank you so much for watching, and if any of this sounds like something that you would like help with, or if you know someone that could totally benefit from this, come and check out my website, book a spark session, or even just send me a message. I'll be happy to have a chat with you. See you soon. Bye.